Hey guys, we're out here in Emeryville, right outside of San Francisco, visiting Steve Lefkovits. He's the executive producer of Joshua Tree Conference Group. Let's go inside his office, see if he wants to play a quick game of 21 questions. Hey Steve, how's it going?
Good, guys. How you doing?
You up for a game of 21 questions?
Absolutely.
All right. Can you give me 3 words to describe your current mood?
3 words to describe my current mood. I'm happy, I'm eager, I'm excited.
We're here at your office right outside San Francisco. What's one item here with the best story?
Well, here in my photo gallery in Emeryville, there's a lot of stories. A lot of them involve multifamily people who've been with us on trips. One of my favorite stories revolves around this image right here. It's from a 2012 trip to Alaska, and it's a humpback whale approaching my kayak. Most of the people with us on the trip had gone in. We spent 6 days in the rain and cold, frustrated, and right at the very last couple of hours of the trip, we had this amazing whale encounter where the whale came up to us and swam around us and swam under our kayak. And unfortunately, most of the people who were with us on the trip missed the opportunity, and they're still upset about it to this day.
Speaking of San Francisco, we have the 2016 NAA Education Conference and Exposition this June 15th through 18th at the Moscone Convention Center. What's the number one thing attendees should try to do or see in San Francisco, besides, of course, attending the conference?
San Francisco has so many great sites, it really is a matter of personal taste. My personal taste is that the natural areas around the waterfront in San Francisco, along the Pacific or along San Francisco Bay, are some of the most beautiful spots in the world. And if you haven't been across the Golden Gate Bridge into the Marin Headlands, the recreation area immediately north of San Francisco, it provides some of the most spectacular views in the world, and you can make a little trip right at the end of the bridge and go up in the mountains and look back, or you can go one exit further up to Mount Tamalpais. And from Mount Tamalpais, you can stand at the edge of the ocean, overlooking the clouds and rolling hills on one side, and the ocean and San Francisco back over your shoulder on the other. And I believe it's one of the most beautiful spots in North America.
If I hit play on your stereo at home, what song would I hear?
I'm old, so you'd probably hear Rapper's Delight.
Who is your role model?
My role model, no question, Captain Kirk from Star Trek.
What is your favorite way to decompress after a long day?
My favorite way to decompress after a long day is to watch the sunset. You know, we often say here that people come here from all over the world. They save up all year for a chance to see the sun setting over the Pacific Ocean. And we get to do it for free anytime we want. And so that's often how I decompress.
Joshua Tree and NAA partner up every October for Maximize, the Multifamily Asset Management Conference. This year's events take place October 17th through 19th in the San Diego area. Who should come, and what's the number one reason why they should attend?
I'm really proud of our partnership with Maximize. Maximize, to me, represents our ability to really add value to the multifamily industry. And the reason is that we're trying to serve a group of important thinkers in the multifamily industry who traditionally haven't had a place to go that's their own. Maximize is for asset managers and decision makers who are focusing on the whole asset and the whole portfolio, and are a little bit abstracted from day-to-day operations. And so whether it's a COO at some companies or a portfolio manager or the asset manager, it's really an opportunity for the people who are charged with fiscal responsibility to think all together at once about all of the opportunities to maintain and enhance the multifamily lifestyle.
What's your favorite app?
I think my favorite app these days is Instagram.
If you could spend a day with anyone living or dead, who would it be?
If I could spend a day with anyone living or dead, no question, Abraham Lincoln.
Getting back to Maximize, it has a reputation for some of the best networking, whether formally or informally. What's your favorite strategy for breaking the ice?
Yeah, I read that Dale Carnegie book once, and it really gave me a great tip about networking. My favorite tip for networking is finding something to have a sincere interest in someone else about. And so if I can see that someone is having a good day, I can celebrate their day with them, and I can say hello and introduce myself and say, hey, it looks like you're having a good day. You know, can you share why? And it's just a great way to connect with people.
What's the apartment amenity you most wish you had in your home?
Well, I think The apartment amenity I wish I had is a gym. I don't work out enough, and if I had a gym downstairs, I'd work out a lot more.
You're holding the MTech conference just prior to NAA's education conference. What do you think about the state of innovation in the apartment industry?
The apartment industry is almost unique in that it benefits tremendously from technology, but doesn't need it. The state of innovation in our industry, I think, reflects the fragmentation of the ownership groups in the industry and the difficulty of finding common problems that stretch across the industry. I think, like most people, I believe that we could do more to create better living experiences for people. Technology, I believe, is neutral. It can be used for good stuff. It can be used for stuff that's not so good. And for us, I think that the industry's go-slow approach to technology is probably warranted by the fact that so many people live in so many communities. They spend most of their time in our communities. And so creating a better experience, a demonstrably better experience, is hard to do. And I think most owners want to go slow in making sure they're doing the right thing for their residents.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Elizabeth.
If there was one skill that you could master, what would it be?
Another language. I'd love to learn Spanish.
What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I love what I do. I love my friends. I love my photography. I love that I get to do different things. And so the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning is the excitement of helping people connect and solve problems. I woke up this morning excited because I get to help a friend with a problem. And for someone with my personality type, that's pretty much the best thing that can happen in a day.
Excellent. Do you want to have a seat?
Sure.
What's the hardest part about your job?
I think the hardest part about the work that I do is that we're in the learning business. And there is so much information moving through our ecosystem these days. The pace of change that we're experiencing probably has few historical parallels. Maybe the closest time is between 1890 and 1910, when American society was radically changed by technology, by the internal combustion engine. And I think we're going through that rapid pace of change now. So I think the hardest thing for those of us in the education business is packaging information in ways that's relevant to people at a pace that they can take in. At a certain point, people just throw up their hands and say, enough, I haven't done what I said I was going to do last year. I certainly can't do the thing this year.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time travel. I saw Jean-Claude Van Damme in Time Cop and thought, man, that's what I want, time travel.
Professional baseball players have at-bat songs. What's yours?
I've got different at-bat songs, and it depends a little bit on the mood. Most of my pump it up music these days is like soft jazz. I'm getting older, and all the hip hop or the heavy metal I used to run to, I don't do that anymore now. I look for nice soft, quiet music that is probably going to facilitate a good nap.
Let's say I logged into your Netflix account. What movie am I watching?
Training Day. You're watching Training Day over and over and over again.
Talking about Maximize again, folks may not have the best grasp of revenue management. What do you think is the biggest misconception the industry has on the subject?
Well, the industry is getting a good grasp on revenue management. I think the biggest misconception is that revenue management is a software. Revenue management is an empirical approach to pricing and looking at demand and looking at the components of demand in a structured, holistic way. And so when people say we're not going to do revenue management, they probably already do in some fashion. They just may not be using a specific software for it.
Let's say you have great news to share about Maximize. Again, that's October 17th through 19th in the San Diego area. What social network are you going to first?
If I have great news about anything, I'm going to share it on Facebook first because that's where my friends are. And I think over time we've seen social networks fall off. A lot of talk about Twitter no longer being relevant or Twitter people just speaking to each other. I think I'm probably too old to be using Snapchat, and I don't really understand it. And I think for a professional audience, either Facebook or for LinkedIn is probably the social network. But having said all that, I'd say also that I think that social networks are still people networks. And so if I really had good news, I'd probably start texting my friends first so they got the news authentically from me.
Excellent. Finally, question number 21. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, no question. The best piece of advice I ever received was to make long-term investments and not worry about the returns on a daily or weekly basis. I took a great finance class in graduate school taught by one of the icons of finance. And he taught us a lot about the psychology of long-term happiness as a result. And I think that the insight that we worry too much about short-term valuation contributes to mental distress. And if we make good investments and forget about them and look at them every year or two, it contributes meaningfully to happiness. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to invest money in things that are growing, that's probably a pretty good approach. And it makes life a lot simpler. I've got friends who send texts around about what the stock market did that day, and I'm not sure that I'm ever going to spend the time to focus on a day-to-day basis, and certainly would make me a lot less happy than I am if I did. So that's probably it.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for playing, and we will see you this June in San Francisco, and again October 17th through 19th in the San Diego area.
We'll see you soon.
Have a good one.
Thanks.